All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. The honor to the apostle of the great millstone who taught the truth and rule well. Peace and salutation to the whole elect on the four corners of the earth, whoever may be listening. I'm the brother Yahweh Shai from the branch of Great Millstone. Uh, the Gary branch, Shalakia. Um, Coming to you with a quick lesson. It's not gonna be too long, but just a quick update on the mark, the MOTB, the micro C hip, you feel me? So, uh, I'm on break right now, but just scrolled on TikTok just randomly, and I seen this video. You know, he could be a tear the way the spirit that he gives off, but look like a Jake. But yeah, let's just watch the video and see what he say, and then I'm gonna go into Revelation 13 to Revelation 14, and now that should be the end of the lesson real quick. So, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Lord willing, you can hear me. I got some headphones in, so let's get into it.
So much more.
Do you have any side effects?
No, I don't have any side effects.
Do you have any?
I don't have any.
Can you feel it?
I can't feel it. I was able to do it, and then I did it.
And how long did that take you?
That took me about a week.
And then you went home and
I practiced at home.
And so what do you think the biggest benefit of this is?
The biggest benefit is that it's going to help people with spinal cord injuries and people with Parkinson's disease and people with epilepsy and people with depression, anxiety, and all these different things. I could still move the mouse with my mind.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I had. It's actually pretty cool.
Is it like a chip?
It's a small chip, yeah.
So I'm curious about the device itself, the actual, how long did it take you to get used to it?
It was a process, it took a few months to really get comfortable with it, but now it's just part of me, in my head.
Can you show us?
Can you show me where?
Right here. So the future is going to be amazing. We're going to be able to do so much more.
And I texted, that's the video, but texting that group chat, to the brothers. He look like a complete bot. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the chip in his head now, or he was already acting like that. But he giving off AI or bot, behavior. But yeah, as he said, it took about a week, for the process, to be finished, and about a few months to get accumulated, to that, procedure, the micro C hip, in his head, the scripture saying his forehead, you know. And let's get this started. This is Revelation 13, starting at verse 12 on down. It says, he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And that first beast, was talking about the ancient Roman Empire. But now, they got transferred, translated, to the revival or the revised, Roman Empire, which is America, today, Salakia, also known as Babylon the Great. It says, verse 13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. It's talking about the nukes, what America did, to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those places in Japan, where they dropped those two nukes, two gigantic, bombs, and the people of Ammon, It says, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Shalakin. Having a long day at work, but gotta get this lesson in. So it says, which had the wound by a sword and did live, like I brought up before, this the revival of the Roman Empire, this the revival of the beast, and it says, the miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, the miracles which he brought out, go into it again, what
What
he
do you think the
said.
biggest benefit of this is?
The biggest benefit is that it's going to help people with spinal cord injuries and people with Parkinson's disease and people with epilepsy and people with depression, anxiety, and all these different things. I could still
Yeah, so they're trying to do miracles, but by left-handed means, you know, not by spiritual powers, not by Yahweh, by Shemiel Shai, but you know, by the works of their own hands, you know. So that's them trying to do miracles, in front of the eyes of the people, in front of the eyes of the masses, them healing, healing the people that's paralyzed, with Parkinson's, like he said, depression, you know. Uh, it was just an article that I posted to the brothers too, and I posted it on Twitter as well. How Elon Muskie was pretty much saying that um it was catering towards the crowd of Jacob, Jake's out here, the Israelites. You know, you know, Jake's like sports, but pretty much he was saying that if you want to replicate, uh, uh, NBA NBA players, jump shots, you'll be able to do that with the Neuralink. You'll be able to shoot just like Stephen Curry, and that's pretty much verbatim what he said, in the article, you know, and this is very near, cause just last year, you know, Mr. Muskie, he was pretty much saying that they was doing human clinical trials, and now look at them, they just showed one damn near a year later, if not a little bit less than a year later, you know, so this is very near, the mark, you know, the MOTB is on the rise. It could very well, be here by the end of this year. We just don't know yet. Let's finish this off. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. You know, so no matter what your social status is, you know, uh, rich, rich or poor. I would say middle class and poor, but as we're seeing right now, the middle class and the lower class, you know, are merging together, and it's just going to be at one point, the rich and the poor. The middle class uh is decimating right now. It says, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Either you're in prison or you're a so-called free man. Having liberties. You know, like I said, so-called. You're gonna have to take the MOTB. It says in your right hand, so either hand, it don't really matter. You know, whatever your dominant hand is, or in your foreheads. You know, or your head, as you can see right there with that man. I'm not even call him a brother or nothing. What that man took, and you see the incision inside of his head, that bald ass head. You see that incision, and it looked like they didn't even do a good job. It looked like you just stick your finger in the side of his head and you just take it right out. But hey, this is the MOTB. It says that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So if you don't have that mark, you can't buy or sell. You see other Israelites groups talking about it's white women, it's sin, it's embargo. Like, come on. If that's the case, if that's the case, hey, we all fucked up. We all screwed. Ain't nobody gonna be delivered, because we still buying and selling, in this kingdom, in this current empire. But this is soon to come. This digital system that's coming, to all of our nearby cities, towns and countries and states, you know, hey, you're not gonna be able to buy and sell without that mark, without the micro, C hips, either in your dominant hand or your head, you know. And that was the point. Let's get that Revelation 14 just to get a balance of it, just to show that if you take it, you're done, you're through, you know. You have no hope of escaping this place. You're gonna be hit with the missiles. You're gonna die of a grievous sore, as the scriptures will say. You know, um, require you to get chemotherapy. you know, uh, whichever way you think about it. You know, either by fire or medical treatments, or you just gonna get caught up in one of the Lord's plagues. You know, famine or whatever the case may be. Let's see how I'm gonna start at. Talking about the 144,000. Is it starting at verse 10? Yeah, I think it started verse 10. Yep. We start verse 8. It says, Revelation 14 and 8, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. It's like of her fornication. Yeah, all the nations, are in bed with Babylon, you know. Especially these Arab nations, the UAE and all them, the Western, Asia, Eurasia, countries, in Europe, they all follow after the beast. They all do business with Babylon the Great, and take after, pretty much they're under the vibration of Esau, they follow their ways, they follow Babylon's currency, they follow their democracy in a sense. Esau, he set his rulers in certain countries, to uphold his standard, you know. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints, and here are the Salakia. It said, here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahweh Shai. So the ones that take this mark, worship this beast, do whatever this man says, whatever his governments say, whatever the New World Order says, it's gonna be, dang, that's crazy. Whoever take that mark, you know, is through, you know. It says, shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, Yahweh Shai, So you're going to get burnt up with nuclear missiles or the lasers of the chariots, from the angels, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's holy army, you know. This is the result or the consequences of taking that. And this is why, the apostles and others of Great Millstone on down go so hard on this, because we're giving you the warning before it even happened, you know. And if you take that, hey, the blood is gonna be off our hands, but we still gonna be like, damn, like, come on, it's gonna be our families, some of our friends, in the world, that's gonna take it after being warned. We just gonna have to turn. We just have to turn around and keep it pushing, because there ain't nothing much we could do after that, you know. And it says their smoke of the torment ascended up forever and ever for a very, very long time. And America is going to be a monument of what not to be like, what not to rule like, what not to move like, to not be wicked, like this place. So the Lord's going to make this place a continuous, for a very, very long time, a smoke, a memorial of smoke and ashes, you know. But yeah, this is that's probably the end of the lesson. Still on break, but about to get off pretty soon, but Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Once again, let's give our praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kwakwadash. The one to the apostle as a great millstone. Peace and salutation, hopefully, on the four corners of the earth. Shalom, shalom, Kwame Yasharala, Wa, Abba, Abba, chemotherapy, 2026 soon.